खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत, खुद्दाम अहमदियत.
Bang on time. I wanted to start by 7 o'clock. I just want to introduce everyone to Yasin. Yasin, if you want to pop your camera on, and if anyone else as well, if you guys are comfortable, because Yasin's our guest, so it'd be nice if he could see your faces as well. So if you guys can, so request if you can put your cameras on as well. It would be nice.
I'm nervous about. I think you're seeing my face enough already. So it's okay if I can know.
Yeah, you
We love your face, Amar bhai. We love it. MashaAllah.
It's taking up half my screen, don't it? But anyways, Yasin, Assalamu alaikum, Jazakallah for joining. You are in the UK today, but we're going to talk to you like you're living in Bulgaria. So Yasin, how are you doing today? Are you okay?
I'm good, Jazakallah. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Welcome to Khuddam Night. Khuddam Night is something which we do for the Khuddam in the West Midlands. We try to bring on guests every now and then just to talk to us about how they're doing and what they're involved in, and especially with the youth, because as you know, Khuddam is revolved around youth work. So Yasin, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you were brought up, about your education. Tell us everything. We want to know who you are, who Yasin is today.
Yeah, sure. Jazakallah. So yeah, as an introduction, so my full name is Yasin Samyan Ahmed. I'm 23 years old. From the UK, I'm from Preston, Jamaat. Obviously, I'm in Bulgaria now because I'm studying there. And yeah, so just as a flashback, I guess, I went to Lancaster Grammar School for my education. And I was always looking to do medicine or drama. I was always a toss-up between those two. And eventually I decided to do medicine. I'll get into the story later on. But yeah, so now I'm doing medicine in Bulgaria after a friend told me about it. I'm in a city called Plovdiv, which is the second biggest in Bulgaria, about an hour and a half from the capital, Sofia. And yeah, I'm just finished my 5th year. So inshallah, I started my 6th year in September. So yeah, so far it's been good, mashallah. I can tell you the whole life story and talk if you want as well.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we get into Bulgaria, I just want to know about you growing up in the UK, especially because you've experienced another whole side to it now. So what was it like growing up, seeing the whole nizam, the whole system here, and did that help you in your development of understanding what the Jamaat is, bringing that into a whole other country?
Yeah, definitely. So I was, like I said, I was from Preston in the UK, which is in the northwest. And our Jamaat was quite small. But I was lucky that my dad and my mum actually were both presidents of Preston at various points. So obviously I could see through that how the system worked. And also I'm fortunate enough to be serving as guide of my city as well in Plovdiv. And I guess it's quite a small Jamaat like Preston was. So I guess it was kind of tight-knit in the sense that we all sort of went through each other to organise local activities. And then through national and regional activities as well, we contacted the Murabbis and people higher up. So yeah, definitely from the UK, that gave me a good idea as a good foundation into serving Bulgaria, because again, it's very similarly run. The model is kind of based off the UK as well, albeit it is smaller, but we try and do our best over there with the Khuddam that we have. So
definitely.
How many members do you roughly have at the moment?
Yeah. So in Bulgaria as a whole, we have around 35 to 40 Khuddam. The thing is, there are some converts there as well. So some Bulgarian nationals have alhamdulillah converted. But they sometimes come and go because of work and things. They might work in Germany or the UK. So I actually got to meet them as well, which is quite obviously a privilege. But right now, yeah, it's about 35, 40. In my city, it's about 15, 16. So quite a few of the Khuddam are where we are. And then in the capital, Sofia, there's about 7. And then, yeah, some on the outskirts as well. So it's kind of all spread out, really. But we try and keep in touch.
Yeah. Yes, I'm quite interested to know, because obviously when you're in the UK, you want to be studying in the UK, you want to go to uni in the UK. obviously it's a big, huge step to go and leave the nest and go and study in a different country. So what was that bit of motivation that made you convinced that? Because you were talking about you either going to go to Jama or you're going to go study medicine. That in
Yeah.
itself is a big decision as well. But let's go to you deciding to go to Bulgaria. How did that happen?
Yeah, so it's a funny story actually. I actually met a friend at Jalsa who I hadn't seen for a while. I did duty with him in the past, but I saw him after a while in one of the tents, I think. And I was like, "Oh, how are you? How are things?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually doing medicine right now in Bulgaria." And it was the first I'd heard of it. I was like, "Oh, wow, really? I didn't even know that was an option."
Yeah.
And then he told me about it, and he said how obviously it's still the same as it is in the UK. So in the sense that you can transfer your degree to the UK once you've done, because it's GMC approved, meaning it's approved by the UK General Medical Council, which is the big thing why it's so useful. It's just that the requirements were lower to get into Bulgaria because the UK is so competitive, if people don't know, for medicine and dentistry especially. So that was an option for me in the back of my mind. I was like, okay, let me try and get into the UK. If not, I've got a backup option of Bulgaria. But yeah, it was funny because it was always between medicine and Jamia. And I'd seen, for example, Hamayobai and so many Jamia students in the BT classes around GCSE time. And just seeing you guys do what you did. And I learned so much from the academic classes, and the sports were great fun as well. So that really made me thinking. I was like, oh, Jamia is actually a really good option. And also I have two cousins in Jamia as well. One's called Sabah. You might have seen him on Instagram. He's called the Young Imam on Instagram. And he's always doing social media stuff.
Yeah.
And Mustafa Siddiqi's my other cousin. So he's just finished now actually. And he was always telling me about the benefits of Jamia. So I was really unsure. And I think the only way to decide is obviously asking Azur. So I had him look out with Azur, and he straight away said, yeah, medicine. I think you should do that. So obviously I based it off that in the sense that Azur knows best, and I just committed to it. So after I didn't get into the UK the first time, I thought, okay, rather than taking a year out, I could reapply. But I was quite keen to start straight away. So that's why I got in contact with my friend, and he said, yeah, this is what you do to apply. And yeah, I got in. Alhamdulillah. So rest is history from there.
I've actually been to Bulgaria. I've spent
Oh wow.
2 weeks there. So I went with my Jama mates and went to go see Murabi Abdullah. So he was in Jama at the time. So he was like, I think he's the first ever Bulgarian Murabi, pure
Yeah.
Bulgarian. So he took us around Bulgaria and everything. And my perception of Bulgaria was like, I actually didn't know anything about it before. But we went to Sofia, this capital, and it's pretty nice. They have one. It's called I think it's called the Tranquility Triangle or something, where they have a mosque, a church, and a synagogue, all in one place, and they call it sort of a land of peace, so that, to show that people can all live with each other. But what were your first impressions? Obviously, leaving home and then going into an unknown land, off the cuff of what your friend has told you.
Yeah, so obviously it was a bit of a transition initially. So I wasn't sure what to expect like you. But once I got there, it really helped having people from the UK there. So I think me settling in was largely down to the Jamaat. Without the Jamaat, I don't think I would have transitioned as well, because there was students in the years above me already there, and they sort of showed me the way around and what to do. So that really helped. And yeah, as a country, it's actually quite nice. There's also a lot of sort of mountain areas and quite nice rural parts as well. So I got to explore that a little bit. And I think the main part was sort of getting the basics of the language so you can get around. Obviously, I'm not fluent because it's a tough language, and you're mainly with UK people as a course in English. But we did lessons of Bulgarian in the first 2 years, just the basics of how to get around. So I can now call a taxi or go to the shop and order some stuff. So that was the main thing. Once you sort of get that out of the way, then it's not too bad.
We've got one in the comments. Is
the
population of English speakers small or large in Bulgaria?
It's interesting because I would say the vast majority of the young people there can speak it very well because they teach it in schools nowadays. However, the older generation is where there's a problem because they don't speak a lot of English. So if you find a good group of people that speak it, that's great. But if not, say if there's like an old shopkeeper or taxi driver that can't speak it, then it's like you've got to try and maneuver your way around with the limited Bulgarian that you know. But I'd say maybe just less than half speak English. Obviously, the professors at my university speak it very well, so they obviously have to teach it.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
how,
generally,
how did
yeah.
you adjust to like the food and the culture?
Yeah, it was interesting because the food was, I mean, personally, I prefer our food, like the Indian and Pakistani food, because I'm used to it, of course. But it's funny because Bulgarians, from what I've seen, just love cheese.
Yeah.
They just put cheese on everything. So there's something called kashkaval, which is like a bread and like cheese inside, which is nice, but it gets a bit repetitive after a while. And then one of the first things I tried there actually was there was a canteen at uni, and it was cheap actually, so I thought I should try it out. And there wasn't a lot of things that I liked, so I literally just ended up getting, there was like cucumber and tomato pieces like cut up with cheese on top. So I just got that for my lunch. I just ate that. So I learned from that obviously there are some other good spots as well. There's some good restaurants there actually that have like Turkish and Greek cuisines. So in my spare time, I go with mates to try different restaurants, which is good. But yeah, the culture, like I said, the language barrier was the main thing. Once you overcome that, then yeah, you can get by.
I'll tell
And,
you a funny story. When we arrived in Bulgaria, went to a proper Bulgarian restaurant because us coming, we want to try proper Bulgarian food.
Oh yeah.
And we invited all of the UK students who are studying in Bulgaria to the restaurant as well.
Oh nice.
So there was Mohammed Khalid and other guys as well that came.
Yeah.
So we were about to start eating and they arrived, and they were like, "Yeah, we've ordered your food. It's here." So they were just literally sitting there looking at the food, and we're like, "What's wrong?" We're like, "Oh no, we're just not hungry." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, we just went to McDonald's."
Oh.
They were like, "There's barely any McDonald's in the whole of Bulgaria." So when they come to the capital, they tend to just go to McDonald's and get food there. So
Yeah.
it was so funny. We were like, "Oh my god!" Like the food that we've grown up eating, that's the thing that you carry on eating afterwards as well. So it's quite a funny story. But that's what I remember them talking about as well.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because in Plovdiv, my city, we've got 2 McDonald's, like one in town and one like on the outskirts.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like an easy option to go for. Like you said, you go for the food that you're used to a lot of the time. But I haven't actually had too much of it. I try and stay away from, well, I still eat takeouts occasionally, but obviously home cooking food is good as well. That's something I learned during uni. Like making salad and dal and things. So I try and do that when I can as well.
Yeah, so it's often one of those things that we hear in the UK, uni students especially, when they, complaining about having too much fast food or too much option.
Yeah.
It's the thing, in your situation, limited options, not knowing really what to get. So it's quite a strange comparison. But the goal is the same. You're trying to get that degree, and you're going to do whatever you can to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we mentioned about this before, about you being guide. So how did that happen? Who appointed you? And was it a hard transition for you to, along with your education, to have Jamaat work as well?
Yeah, so it actually happened last year. I'm not sure. I think it was the Sadr Saab. You mentioned there were 2 Murabbis, Abdullah Saab and Jawad Saab. So I think they must have decided together. Or it might have been Jawad Saab, he's the Sadr, so he probably had the ultimate decision. And I think the guide at the time also had a say. So they decided me for whatever reason. And then I thought, okay, yeah, let me do the best I can. And it was actually okay because I was already thankfully serving in the National Amala. So I was initially Dajneed, Motamid Dajneed, and now I'm a Moratullah as well. So I kind of had a general idea of what to expect with the reports and meetings and things. And as guide in Plovdiv, Bulgaria, it's mainly just keeping on top of things and sending reminders, organizing events. So we had events such as Muslim Mode and Muslim Mode Day. It's kind of your responsibility to allocate who's doing what. So I didn't realize that had so much organization to it until I actually did it. So it made me appreciate it a lot more for sure. But no, it's been a thankfully smooth transition. I had obviously help around me. So if I'm unsure, I can ask a senior member or Abdullah Saab or Jawad Saab. So it's been thankfully good.
Is Bulgaria like, how here we have the Jamaat as a separate system, and then we have Khuddam Ahmadiyya, Tfal Ahmadiyya. Is it more like more of a one thing over there that you're kind of combining everyone together?
Yeah, kind of. Well, Khuddam Ahmadiyya only just got registered in the past year or two as an official sort of organization. So yeah, we mainly have a tight knit Khuddam there. I think Lajna do their own thing. obviously. There's like a few of them there, I think like 5 or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of Ansar and Atfal, we don't really have that because it's mainly all our age group anyway.
Yeah.
So we kind of all just sort of come together, and obviously each Qiyada does their own thing locally. But for the national and regional events, we have like Ijtimas as well. We had the first ever national Ijtima a few years ago. It was held in my mate's apartment, actually, funnily enough. And so there's about 35, I think. So it's more back then. So yeah, we all met there and then had food, dart travel, and then did sports as well. So yeah, it's good to when we all come together as well.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear, how the Khuddam MD has transcended to another whole country and just comes to life, and all those things that we do here is still being done there. So I'm sure that helped you a lot settling in and and developing yourself as a Jamaat person as well, because it's very easy. And I remember talking to the boys who were there as well, studying medicine, that it's really easy to lose track of what Jamaat's telling you what to do and that connection. But some people, when you leave your home, you tend to be more attached and you start to think more about the Jamaat and what it's given you. And was that the case for you when, obviously living in the UK with Khilafat there and everything? Do you feel like going to Bulgaria, you felt more connected in some way to Khilafat, and you had that message carrying with you and that motivation from Huzur as well?
Yeah, I think initially I wasn't sure. So one of the downsides of moving abroad was like, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to be connected to Jamaat now. Because obviously with Azur in the UK, you kind of feel like psychologically, you're like, oh, the further away I go, the less connection there is. But
Yeah.
I think in our sense, because the Jamaat is so tight knit and we always try and do things that we would do in the UK anyway, I would actually say I've probably done more here than I have done in the UK, in the sense that all the activities we do, we try and meet up once a week, or just for food and after Jummah especially. And by the rest of Allah, we actually managed to organize a mulaqat with Azul, which was only possible because we were in Bulgaria. So we had a special mulaqat just for the Bulgarian students, which is about 20 of us came. It was before COVID, so 2-3 years ago now. And yes, we were able to talk to Azul individually and ask questions. And the advice he gave was, keep doing your namaz here. Obviously stay on top of your studies, and the work life balance is very important as well. So obviously remember Jamaat and do other things to remember God, but ultimately remember why you're there, which is to get the degree and ultimately help people afterwards. So it was really good to hear from him in that respect.
And obviously Khilafat is one of those things you definitely appreciate a lot more now living there. But is there anything else which you appreciate more while living there? What are you thinking?
Probably Nando's.
Yeah.
We don't have Nando's in Bulgaria. But no, on a serious note, just probably family in general, because obviously I didn't go see them for a while. I think initially the first year I was there, I went 6 months without seeing them, which was like the longest I'd ever gone. So I think that transition was tough to get over, but I think after that, now I sort of value the time at home a lot more than I did once living there all the time, because sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
So that respect for sure. And yeah, obviously Ahmadi friends initially, obviously had to leave a lot behind in the UK, but I'm grateful that obviously I was able to make more in Bulgaria and sort of take this sort of same spirit from the UK into Bulgaria as well. So I think that's really helped as well.
Brilliant. But obviously going through the pandemic, Corona, and the UK is just uplifted. We're feeling a bit more relaxed. You probably feel it as well. But how was that? You said it's your 5th year, so you've obviously seen for the past 2 years the whole development. So how was that for you initially, and how is it now? And how's the situation?
So in terms of the pandemic there, I think they actually went into lockdown a lot earlier than the UK did. So I think the initial month it happened, I think the UK was still sort of dilly-dallying. The government hadn't fully committed, but Bulgaria went straight away. All right, closing everything down, lockdown straight away. So it was funny because during my 4th year, when we started second semester, around February, March, this whole thing happened. So the university shut down. So we did everything online basically. So I could actually fly back home. I spent 6 months at home, just learning online with Teams and Zoom and everything, which was obviously good to spend time at home, but also we kind of wanted to have practical things, because obviously as part of medicine, you're doing hands-on stuff as well. So I think the pandemic definitely affected that. So we weren't able to do as much as we should have done. But now, once things are getting back to normal now, I think 5th year we're able to do a bit more. And 6th year as well. In my last year, inshallah, we're going to consolidate and do what we can. But I think cases-wise, it's a lot less than the UK. Obviously, I think people less come to Bulgaria in the UK as well. And
Oh, we're just going down the drain.
oh, really?
We're just going
Yeah.
down the drain.
I saw the stats actually you gave before.
Yeah.
So yeah, way higher than Bulgaria, and I think it's one of the highest in the world, isn't it? Behind India and USA.
America, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, also, I mean, with your point about not being able to do stuff like practical stuff, I can speak that
Yeah.
from experience as well. I mean, I'm doing biomedical science going into 2nd year. The first
nice.
year, I think we did 0 practicals, and that's kind of our what is a major part of a biomedical science degree is the
Mm.
practicals and experiments, and we did none of that. I mean, for that very reason, we may have to do an extra year just to kind of get that
Oh,
extra
really?
experience. Yeah. Yeah. The plan was to, so we have 2 semesters, and the plan that we may be able to do experiments in the semester 2 and do the semester 1 as well then. But instead, we just couldn't because of lockdown. Also, I think we kind of missed out about 2 more modules. Instead of doing like 8, we only did about 6 modules, which is it really has impacted studies, especially in university.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't realize it was UK as well to that extent. So jazakallah for that. I think we were fortunate in the sense that we were able to make up bits afterwards. So we were still able to do practical things like in 5th year, which we should have done in 4th year. So I don't think we have to do anything extra like modules or extra years or months wise. So we were quite fortunate in that respect. But yeah, it's affected a lot of people, fortunately. But inshallah, the worst is over now. But let's see. I mean, like you said, it's still pretty high in the UK, but inshallah, it doesn't get any worse.
Inshallah, inshallah. As you're in your 5th year, you've grown a bit wiser, a bit mature out there. So you're almost in a position where you're going to be advising other people. Do you have any advice for anyone, both in medicine or anything else in studies, or just as your role as guide, that you can give to anyone through your experience or what you've learned?
Yeah, so I'd say 2 things mainly. The first thing is obviously something we've all heard before in terms of keeping a close connection with Jamaat. So I think, for example, what you guys are doing with the Khuddam nights is really great because again, you get to catch up and keep in touch, but still do the Jamaat stuff as well, which is remembering God and keeping up to date with his aura and what he said. So I think that's the main thing. If you keep in connection with that, that's really important because it sort of keeps you away from things that you shouldn't be doing, as other people, tend to do, as you'll see in life. So I think that's important. The second thing is doing everything you can in terms of work-wise and making the most of your time. So I think I found that I got a bit lazy over the whole lockdown situation. So it's made me realize as well. But for example, making use of your free time, like being efficient, not necessarily working harder, but working smarter. That's important. So I had a friend actually who he didn't actually, I don't think he ever failed an exam in this university, which is quite an achievement because some of the exams are quite tough. And he was always, any free hour he got, he made the most of it. Like he set a target, I'm going to learn this in this amount of time. And he made sure to do it. So I learned the weekends are quite important as well. Because obviously the weekends, I used to think we're just like chilling and do whatever. But any free time you get, just consolidate what you've done throughout the week. Think about the final exams and what you need to know. And repetition is important. A saying I heard as well was don't do something until you get it wrong, but do it until you're always right. So for example, if you're learning a material, make sure that no matter how many times you do it, get it to the point where you just know it by heart, because that's what you need for medicine, especially because it's a lot of memorizing. So obviously I'm still trying to implement that as well, but it's obviously a learning process, and them are main 2 things to say.
It's brilliant advice. I think that could be relating to every single person here, both students and those who are working in the life as well. But in terms of trusting Huzur's word, which is something which you based your whole career on, do you feel like you made the right decision? Do you feel like others should also take that step and follow Uzur's guidance?
Yeah, I think so. So obviously you can think about, oh, what would have happened if I did this, or when Jamia went a different route in the UK. But I think whatever happens for the best, especially with Uzur telling you, and once you have that blessing, that kind of gives you the confidence to go forward. I think it's about what you make of it as well. So, for example, even if it's not something you initially want or expect from life, it's about the choices you make, which is ultimately making a better future for yourself. So I think no matter what, ultimately you remember God and be thankful for the position you're in, but also work hard, and inshallah, yeah, you'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah. And would you recommend studying abroad for those that cannot get into the UK? Do you think they should just carry on pursuing their career, or should you change your career
Yeah,
path?
it's a good backup option if you're willing to commit to it. And because I saw people, quite a few who dropped out as well. But it's something that you have to be 100% committed to, because it is an initial culture shock, and it's not the UK. It's not going to be the same comforts and luxury that we experience. But if it's something you really want to do, like medicine or dentistry, you can't get into the UK initially, then this is a good backup option, which is what I did. So yeah, if you've got nothing else in mind in terms of career, but you want to do this badly, then yeah, I would recommend it for sure.
Brilliant, Yasin Sab. Has anyone else got any questions? I'll go to Zaryab first if he has anything to say.
Yeah.
Any comments you guys wanna give, please?
Oh, Murabi Sahib, you put me on the spot there. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Oh yeah, I think I do have a question actually. What do you think you've learned by living alone rather than being with your parents?
I think being independent in the sense that I can cook a lot more now compared to always having home food made for me. So that's the main thing. Also, I think time management, like I said, knowing what to do throughout the day. So, for example, I didn't even think about, like washing up and cleaning your apartment and paying bills and rent and things. So I guess living alone gives you that sort of mindset and that experience to do that. But yeah, I would say cooking is the main thing, to be honest. But I recommend everyone do it at some point, just living alone when the opportunity comes, of course, because then you learn a lot about yourself as well and what you need to do, like time management wise.
Yeah, I know, I completely feel you, because when I lived 1 year alone, and that's why I asked, because I felt like when I was alone, I was much more of a man. Now I'm just a slob, man.
Yeah,
I'm back at home.
I can relate. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, bro.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think being independent is one of the most important things in life. Obviously, everyone's time will come. I'm not saying you should all move out from your parents' houses now, but all in good time, obviously. And yeah, I feel like you find a lot about yourself, and it's kind of like character building as well. Because it's like you're surviving in the real world. It's the way I look at it. So that's the way you get by.
Jazakallah, Zaryab, brilliant question. Yasin, we have a few aspiring JAMA students on the call. We have actually a few JAMA students on the call as well.
Oh, nice.
Alhamdulillah. So you mentioned that you had a passion to go, you had a thought to go, but you also have two cousins who have passed out as well. So
yeah,
do you see anything from their life which attracts you, and with something which you can see from them because they're your family as well, and how that impacts your family? Can you just share a few things that you've seen that would probably help these guys aspiring to go to Jamia as well?
Yeah, so I just think the overall brotherhood of Jamia and the students there is something I've never seen before. I don't think can ever be recaptured. So I think especially learning about them and with them, the Tabiti class, where we stayed at Jamia for a week in the same complex. And I think it's kind of breaking the stereotype almost, because people, especially English people, might think of a Murabbi or a mullah as like a big beard and out of touch old man almost. But I think having this sort of vibrant youth and new energy, like the Khalifa said, a nation can't be reformed without reforming the youth. So I think starting young and having this sort of brother mentality was really great to see. And like I said, like doing activities such as sport, and I learned so much actually in that Tabiti class. That was the peak of my Jamaat knowledge, I think. But yes, we've been downhill since then. But yeah, I think mentioning my cousins as well, I think seeing Sabah do what he does online with social media. He's always making Instagram videos about Islam and Ahmadiyya, refuting any allegations. So that's something I admire and take interest in. Mustafa as well, So that's the thing. There's so many different pathways. Mustafa's doing Arabic. I think that's his main specialty. So he's really good at languages as well. So there's so many different pathways you can go into. So it's not just Jamia and Yamurbi. There's so many little avenues you can go as well. So it's kind of building off your interests. So yeah, if you're committed to it, then definitely go for it.
Nice, nice. Brilliant, Yasin Saab. Someone who's been on the other side and seen that experience on a family level as well as a professional level as well. Has anyone else got any questions? Hunain, Musli, anyone else? You guys, quickly, if you can just say something. Or if anyone has any comments, just say Jazakallah to Yasin.
Well, hopefully it was useful.
Yeah. Guys, did you find it useful? Zishan, Daniel, did you guys find the talk relatable?
Assalamualaikum. Yes, it was interesting. Yeah, relatable. I lived out for not for a year, less than a year as well, and yeah, agreed to the points that were made. Yeah,
Wasn't quite like leaving the country, was it?
yeah.
Still a big step. Still good to do for sure.
Yeah, but I do recommend, everyone at least living out for a bit and just experiencing it, because I think you probably found out a lot about yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Zishan and everyone else as well. Brilliant, Jazakallah. Yasin, something we'll call it there. It's been brilliant. We could talk all day. I'd rather have you in person, to be honest, but we'll make do. You're probably tired of Zoom calls as well.
Yeah, had quite a few. So
your lectures on Zoom. But Jazakallah, Yasin Saab. We really appreciate your advice and your experience being shared today. Guys, we'll just finish.